Hey guys, welcome back to Heart of the Hero, Tools for Successful Minds, where we like to talk about success, entrepreneurship, consciousness. We like to, dive into some practical things to help you guys out with some problems and issues that you can come through in your grind, in your day-to-day life. What are we getting into today, Greg?
We're getting into some fun stuff today. We're going to be talking about financial freedom. We're talking about money and your money situation and how to get it up. Really, we're talking about kind of the joys of financial freedom and how you could maybe access that through passive income. There's some other streams that we might talk about. Ways really of getting you closer to what you want by giving you more access to cash, more access to capital. Having more money coming in, and really being able to create that freedom in your life so that you can really start doing what you want.
Yeah, and financial freedom is oh man, it's if you're like most, you're in a position where you're not necessarily in control of your schedule and your life as much, because you're required to work a certain amount of hours and your schedule is made by your employer, and you have to be at work at a certain time and you get off after a certain time, and they can hold you extra over if they want. And if you're constantly living paycheck to paycheck and kind of having to make that grind, and you're working 40 plus hours a week just to make ends meet or something like that, you're in a position where you're not exactly free from the requirements of life, the winds of life, and the seemingly random nature of the issues that can come up in our lives. Will kind of hurt you and affect you more if you're just if you're not financially free, if you're not on top of this so much. You can kind of see where we get behind and not really on our game with this, and we're kind of restricted by what we can do, where we can go, even the people that we can see sometimes, because we don't necessarily have the funds to get us where we're trying to go, and get us the things that we want and the things that we feel like we need in our life. And I think that comes from a lack of freedom from this kind of oppressive idea of what our lives are supposed to look like, and how we're, the freedom that we give up to work in such a slow lane, avenue, in a slow lane society where we just work, dump money into your 401k, sacrifice, feeling good now for retirement money later, and savings, put it, invest it. And, we're taught to, do all these things, and life goes a certain way, but there's other ways of living life. You don't have to be so imprisoned by the financial situation that you're in, and improve it. And so people don't often really see that. And so they kind of get into a real big struggle of an almost like apathetic state where they don't feel like there's anything they can do about it,
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about kind of being restrained by this oppressive kind of, it's like there's something I like to say a lot. There's no rule book, right? There's no rules to this. Like there's no rules to being alive. I mean, there's conditions and kind of things that you're not supposed to do, laws, that kind of stuff. Obviously, right? Obviously, but this stuff is enforced by people, right? This stuff is enforced by your belief in I want to do this and I don't want to do this, and this is going to have this happen. But realistically, right? Realistically, in your day to day, there's no rule book. Like there's no one telling you can or can't do this. So this feeling, right? This kind of oppressive, like I've got to do this. I got to get up and go to my 9 to 5. I hate this, and I don't want to be here. Or, I don't like the people I'm around, or I live in a certain area. I don't like it. Like those feelings, right? They don't necessarily have to be there. Right? They don't have to be there. But a lot of times what happens is, we get involved with people who we know, or people who are around us, or friends or family, or you get involved with these people to the degree that you start to believe, right? You start to kind of believe what they're telling you, which is, there's really no way to do that. Maybe you have some ideas about ways that you think that you could actually get yourself, kind of free and being able to make money, and, you might have, and they might be good, right? They might be the $1 million ideas that really pull you in, right? But what happens is there's kind of this barrier, right, where you're almost afraid. You're almost afraid to think outside of the box for fear of what might happen, right? So kind of today, I think we're going to get into a little bit of the mindsets, but more than that, really, we're going to take you deeper into understanding what it actually feels like how it feels, the joys of actually accessing, working towards, pushing yourself to really find your stream of passive income, right? Your ability to be more financially free, make your own decisions, right? Go places that you want to go. Like, what would it be like for you if tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, I don't know what day it is for you, right? But tomorrow, maybe it's a holiday, maybe you're off, whatever. But if you could just get up tomorrow, go spend a few $1,000s and go on a trip, it wouldn't hurt you. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't do anything to your pocketbook. You could take your family and your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and you could just do that, right? It's one of those things that really shifts a lot of the preconceived kind of things you think about the way that you have to live, right? You think, well, I can't afford that, or I can't do that. And well, what if you could? Like, what if there were ways that you could just make that happen, right? So I think it's important to really loosen up your head a little bit and think, okay, well, maybe this could be a thing.
Well, and I think what's also important is to know the actual, definition of financial freedom. It seems like it's kind of this vague kind of concept, right? Like it's almost this, oh, freedom, yeah. But realistically, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to have financial freedom? Well, for me, that means is that I could, and it's actually probably a little relative to the person. I'll give you that. It might be a little bit relative to what it is that you want. But when you're financially free, you are not restricted by your money. You're not restricted by any limitation to what you can do. Now, I'm not saying you can go out. Doesn't necessarily mean you go out and buy like 6 Lambos. That's, but if you wanted to wait, if you woke up and you wanted to go to New York, you could grab your kids, your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and go to New York and spend the weekend there and get a hotel there and go see some Broadway shows and go to eat some dinner at some classic spots. Like, you could do this and it would not hurt you. You come back and you are right back to where you were, living your normal life, but you were not restricted by this. And it maybe not travel. Maybe it's, you just want to spend more time with your kids and your family. And so you've kind of, so this financial freedom allows you to spend the time that you feel you want to spend, right? Like gives you 4 hours extra at home. You're like, I'm game. I get to work from home. I'm game. Well, I don't have to go in, but a couple days a week or, whatever it is, like not having to set an alarm, what would it be like? We're pretty passionate about passive income here, but financial freedom is basically the kind of the fuel to that because passive income is the type of financial freedom that we've chosen to go for, where we strive for the ability to not set an alarm. Like that's kind of where people need to be pushing for is lifestyle goals, not necessarily monetary success goals or career goals. You need to look at it as lifestyle goals. Like, what is it that you want to do in your life? And could you do it more often if you were financially free? There's this, when we talked about passive income, I don't remember where I read it. But it said if you have passive income and the amount of money you're making is more than the amount of bills that you have,
right,
you're retired. And it was like,
that kind of blows your mind. It's like, what?
I don't actually need that much. You know what I mean? Like it was this amazing, realization that my bills are not ridiculous. I have bills, don't get me wrong, but my bills then were just like, especially when I was thinking about this, like, these aren't ridiculous bills to be asking to get paid for. If I come up and set up a passive income system that makes more than that, then I don't have to work anymore. Like I could continue. And it was like, I could just start a business, systemize it to be passive income. And I didn't actually have to be there 40 hours a week, listen to a boss tell me what to do. Like, and not only that, but that when you have that passive income, some of the ways, when it's out there and it's on the internet, and especially in the information products world, it's out there permanently, semi-permanently for a long time. That's going to be selling and available for 6 to 8 years. A lot of people that get started and get known, some of their first books end up, they'll run like 3 or 4 books along their journey of starting their business. And then when they get noticed and big and start actually getting a big following, a big customer base, they'll go back and they'll start seeing sales on the first book that they wrote 6 years ago. And they'll start making money on this, and it's on work that they did 6 years ago. And so, I mean, it just depends on the lifestyle you want. And I think we can't be alone in enjoying that type of lifestyle and the craving that we had for the financial freedom and the ability to be your own boss. That was something that appealed to us early on, was like, man, I would just love to be able to make my own decisions about my business and my job, my work schedule, and where I live, where I how much I make. Like those are decisions I'd like to be able to just make because I want to be my own boss. I want to start a business. I want to help people, and I wanted to do these things. And it was because the avenue that I wish I was taking aligned fully with what I was wanting, and it's to be able to help people and gain more financial freedom and free time to spend time with my, family and friends and doing things that I enjoy for my own conscious experience sake, for no other reason but improving everybody's lives in my family and including myself. And so, there's avenues and there's distribution routes and there's systems and ways of doing business and starting businesses that fall under the passive income category, which if executed properly and correctly and and treated with full with the full respect of a full-blown business, which, because it's what it is, you can gain this financial freedom that allows you to live a lifestyle that you've probably always dreamed of, that I feel like most of us kind of dream of living.
Yeah, and it's I want to jump on this. I want to jump on this mindset that it's going to come up. It's going to come up, and it may have already come up for you, where you're thinking, "Man, that sure sounds good, but I can't do that." Like that's not really going to be possible for me for whatever reason, right? Whatever the reason is that you're thinking is like, well, maybe, right? And you want it, like maybe you want this, maybe this stuff makes sense to you, and you're like, oh man, like I could travel wherever, like I could meet people, I could take my spouse or on, like, but you got to recognize, right? This goes way deeper than what we're saying, right? This goes way deeper than just the stuff that we're saying right now. It's right. You're looking at the tree, the roots go deeper, right? So you got to think about it like this, right? Really connect the dots here in your own life. How many times have you done something like, let's say you have a car, right? And the tires are bad, right? And they're real bad. Like they're just balding. Like, you drive another 10 miles and one of them's going to pop, right? It's just like, you're starting to notice it. And you're like, I got to change these. I got to get some new ones. I got to make this work, but I don't have the money to do it right now. So I'm going to push this out, another week. Like I'll get it done another week or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of different things that could happen, but it's like these decisions, right? Or parking tickets, right? Everyone hates a parking ticket, right? But what if that $30 or that $50 or that $20, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, if that didn't matter to you and you're like, okay, I need to get into this building, but there's nowhere to park. So I'm going to park here. I'm just going to park right here. And it says, yeah, you could sit here for 20 minutes and they're going to give you a ticket, but I could pay that. That's something I can actually do. Now, I don't encourage that, right? But I'm saying these are decisions that you completely locked yourself out of doing because you believe that you have no way to do it. You don't have the money to make this stuff happen, right? Traveling because you don't have the right tires or you don't have the right stuff or you don't have the right gear or the right bag or the right whatever, the right car, the right house. Like you just don't have the stuff that you need all the time, right? It's resource management. It's like, you're out in the wilderness and you don't have a canteen, right? So you got to shift your mind to go to a deeper level, really investigate your life, right? Become the detective and look around and say, okay, well, where am I making these really stupid sacrifices? Like what would I do differently on a detailed level? Like what stuff would I change? Like maybe you just ditch an alarm. Maybe you never use one again, right? It's a small thing. It's a small thing, but what would life be like if you woke up and you never needed one again, or you could buy the things that you wanted, or you could buy the clothes that, like these are very small detail, but they change the quality of life so much, right? So I want to nip this idea that you can't do this, right? That this can't work for you, because honestly, you getting control of your own financial situation, your own income, your own, ways of sort of decoupling yourself from a 9-to-5 or some sort of conditional job that you may not necessarily like. And even if you do like it, right? Even if it's something that you truly enjoy, would you maybe want more time? Would you maybe want to have more access to your time? What if you could do this conditional thing, right? This thing that you do like, instead of doing it 50 hours a week, you could do it 20 hours a week, or 10 hours a week, or 15 hours a week. How much time does that free up for you to go see your family, or go see shows, or show up at new places, explore new areas, like buy new stuff? Like it gives you, right? So this really touches a lot of areas. And so before you make this distinction of like, well, this isn't possible for me, I don't think I can do this, doing businesses and financial freedom and, passive income, these things aren't real, they don't work for me, really stop and think about the magnitude of that decision in your mind. You choosing that you're actually losing all these possible benefits because you're like, well, that wouldn't work for me, but what if it could, right? What if there was a way that
Well,
that
and
could actually work for you?
what do you even know about passive income? What do you
Right.
even know about financial freedom? Have you even given it a serious enough consideration? Because I think that's kind of what Greg's getting at here, is that, like,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my life really just kind of bouncing off of career to career to major to major. Even when I was in college and high school, I never even knew. I was really never like niche oriented. I was really good with people. I really and was able to kind of just read into people well and give good advice to my friends, and helping people through stuff. But it never really occurred to me to try to make a career out of it. And it there was a time where I knew that all the avenues that I was hearing, going to school here, doing this, getting this degree, this job turns into this, and you can get these jobs with this degree, but you'd have to live here. And all I was hearing was all these just set of rules and instructions of how I have to live my life, and none of them seemed to be anything that I was really seemingly interested in doing. And so, like, I was so kind of like lost and just confused for a while in my younger years, and where I remember when I first read The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. I remember the first like 6 minutes, I started crying, like, no shame. Like, you read that book, he comes at you, like unscripted's even hard. He goes even harder on you than scripted, but I was prepared for it this time. But the reason it touched me so much was because I heard him talk about passive income and not trading, trading, your time for your money, and not having to work a job, for 40 years just to retire and be the richest person in the retirement home. I mean, that's just, I never quite understood it. I never really got the whole point of all this. Like, why am I going to school for 20 years of my life, to what, 23 years of my life, just to go and get a job and, work the same job for the next 40 and then go into another building and then die. I mean, that's basically what it sounded like people were describing life to me. And then so it and it just made life seem so unappealing. And I seemed like I was the only one that had this kind of idea in my head, because I'd never really done any research. I didn't know crap. I didn't know passive income was a real thing to actually get out of the world, and financial freedom was something that you could achieve in the world. And at the time, it was like this kind of breakthrough, and I remember just being very emotional about it, because it was just like, wow, like, he just spoke into just using words and phrases and describing things that I used to think growing up, and it was just like wow, it was so emotional. It was such a powerful experience to hear somebody describe exactly what you've always wanted. And you're just like, this moment of like, wow, I can have this. This is possible. People think this too. I'm not the only one that sees the monotonous bullcrap that is this society that we live in sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm proud to be an American and live in America, because I live in America, in a land of opportunity. And don't ever get me confused. But this is a gatekeeper society. There's a 5% for a reason. The people, they don't mind giving people the information on how to do this, because most of us, well, not us, but most of you won't be be dedicated enough. You won't be persistent enough. You won't have the go-get-itness that you just talked about in entrepreneurship, where you don't, there's stick-to-itness. That's what it was. Because it takes a grind, it takes a determination, it takes a will, it takes a desire that's strong enough. Like, how badly do you actually want the things that financial freedom would provide for you? Because when I think about the things that I can gain from financial freedom, I get pretty jacked. I get pretty pumped up, and I get pretty ready to go work, get stuff done, and research vacations I'm going to take, countries that I'm going to go see, shows that I want, tours I want to catch. I'll go and actually look at okay, if I had this money right now, what could I go do and what would I want to do? And I know exactly what I would do.
Well, and man, I think when you're young, when you're younger, this isn't really an issue. It's only an issue when you grow, when you grow older and you kind of take on this muck of, when you're little, right? When you're a little kid, when you're, 8, 9, younger, right? 5, when you're thinking, if someone were to tell you hey, you're going to be a firefighter when you grow up, or you're going to be a carpenter, right? Let's say that you have, some blocks and one of those little kid toy saws, right? Some clamps and just some tools, right? You have some really fun tools that you're playing with, their little kid stuff, right? you're playing with that. You're enjoying that experience, right? You're kind of rooting around, through the toy box. You're looking for stuff. You're like, oh, I got this, and oh, I got this, and oh, I'm making a porch today because I'm a carpenter, right? You have this experience of like, you're doing the doing for its own sake. Like the thing that you're doing, like the thing that you like, you're a carpenter, right? As a 7-year-old, as a 5-year-old, you're a nurse. You don't have this idea in your mind of like, okay, I'm a nurse, so that means that I need to go to school for this many years. I'm going to answer to this set of people. And if they tell me I have to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, like I got to come, like I got to work on the weekends. Like sometimes I have to work overtime. Like you're not thinking of all this extra stuff, right? You're not even thinking of working for someone else. You're just thinking, man, I get to like help another person. I get to give them medicine. Like I get to build a porch or build a house. Like you're thinking about how you feel doing the thing that you love, right? Doing the thing that you want, right? And then you kind of grow older, right? You kind of get older a little bit, and people start talking to you and they start telling you, hey, like what you want to do is not going to work. Like what you're saying that you should do, what you think that you might want to do, like being an artist, like, being the person who goes and does this, it's not going to work for you. It's not realistic. There's no way you can do that, right? So then that idea of like, oh, like I'm going to enjoy doing this. And yeah, I'm going to be a firefighter because I want to save lives, right? The kid stuff, the kid in you, right? It's like stamped down to where you start to think, okay, all right, well, that's not really what I want to do. This isn't what I want to do, but I could do this corporate 9 to 5 thing. I'll straighten my tie, I'll tighten it up, wear the noose. And then you go and you start doing this and you start doing this. And then you get into this rut, right? It's kind of like, it's like when you have a train that's on tracks and it's been on it so long, people don't remember what it was like when it was not on it. You don't remember because you've been on the tracks for so long, right? So you're thinking, well, this is normal, but this is not normal. This is not how you used to perceive what normal was, right? And so there's this idea that you can't do this, but you didn't always think that, right? You didn't always, because life, right? The things that you really enjoy doing, they come to you. And they almost feel like you're playing, right? Even when you're really good at something, let's say you're really good at dancing or fighting or playing chess, whatever. You feel like almost like you're enjoying the process, right? And usually, not always, but usually a 9 to 5, like an 8 to 3:30, whatever. You don't really enjoy that process. You're just doing it to survive, and that's a very different life over 20 years, over 10 years, over 15 years. It's just you're a different person.
Yeah, and I mean the quality of life is something that's just so ridiculous that we don't actually challenge the ability that the opportunity that we're given. We don't question to see if this is actually what I have to do. Is this a situation that I'm stuck in? Do I have to be here? Do I have to live like this? Do I have to have this job? Could I change my job? Like, is there a way that I could live my life differently? Is there a way that I could make enough money that this wouldn't feel this way? And I wouldn't, because honestly, when you eliminate money problems from your life, I feel like you just eliminate so much stress that it's an unneeded stress. Nobody wants to have to worry about money. Nobody wants money to be one of their main concerns. You don't like having to stretch your paycheck to make ends meet and make have enough food to the next one. You don't want to have to worry about not washing your clothes because you don't want to drive your water bill up. You already washed them once this paycheck. You don't have to worry about, there's so many things like, oh, I can't go out with my friends because I don't have enough money to get in. Like there's like whatever it is, and there's these, it's just these unnecessary, and them, and because we've all had times where we are at least tight and at least like going through just rough patch. We're like, I can't really do much right now, guys. I'm kind of just broke. Like we've all had that moment. You spent too much, got hit on a bill twice, late fees, whatever it is. We've had paychecks, or it's just actually how you live. It's you actually live paycheck to paycheck like that, and that's rough. And it creates problems. It creates issues that aren't actually there if you don't have financial issues. And so I think the alleviation of the stress that gets caused by financial issues will just show such an immediate quality of life improvement in your lives. Like it's one of those, that's why we teach here at Heart of the Hero so adamantly about success being one of the best self-development tools, because it's true. If you improve your life, if you improve your financial situation, there's a lot I don't have to really worry about talking to you about self-development wise, because you're not really as depressed about your situation. So I don't have to talk you through how to get out of that. You've already gotten out of that. You're already in the process of getting out of that. That means you've built self-discipline. That means you're working on self-control. It means you're going to have to go through resistance. And if you push through it, it's going to mean you're growing mentally and emotionally. So self-development is kind of enhanced by just the process of trying to be successful in your own life. And that's why we talk so passionately about this and these mindsets that limit you from trying, because we actually fully believe that if you have success in your life, you will actually improve a large percentage of the issues that you think are just inherent to your self and your being. Like, I'm just afflicted with this. There's nothing I could do. I was born this way. I don't agree. I think you would be amazed, because I've been amazed at how much actually changes when your financial situation changes. How much better it is when you don't have to worry as much about bills, or if your car is going to break down, or if you're going to be able to, make mortgage this month, or, I have to pay this hospital bill, and and you can't shop for yourself. You can't buy nice things. You can't go do fun things. Just that in itself is going to improve your life on the happy spectrum.
Yeah, like, when was the last time you shopped for yourself? Like just the average person. When was the last time you just went out, you just took a lot of money that you had, and you're like, I'm just going to go buy a bunch of stuff because I want to. Like, I just want, like, there's some cool stuff out there that I want to go buy. Like, you tell that to people, right? You tell them, yeah, man, I just went and I spent, a couple $100. I just wanted to go shop. I just thought it would be a fun thing to do as an actual activity. You just go spend money. Like, people would look at you like, oh my God, that's so horrible. You're such a greedy person. Why would you spend that money? That's so terrible. But, like, what are you doing if you're not able to get the things that you want? Like, what is your life if you're just like sitting here hiding behind $1 trying to hold on to it? Like, why? Right? It's like you have options. You have way more options than that, right? So, and not to cut you off, man, but this like comes to me, and I'm like, why are people not like jumping on this, right? And maybe you're thinking about, I hope you're thinking about it now, if you're tied into this, because it's probably, if not the number one, right? If you orient yourself towards this, you will start to see, oh my God, like, what was I doing? What was I doing before?
Yeah. And what were you going towards? What are we towards? I mean, what are we pushing towards? Like, what's the actual monetary value of what you're going for right now? Like, what's the lifestyle benefits of the career that you're pushing for right now? Like, how does it improve your life? How does it help you in any way? Does it fix things like passive income would? Does it fix things like financial freedom does? Does it give you financial freedom, or are you stuck under somebody else's thumb still? Because I've had this conversation with several people. When they would try to, people that have, my family at times, friends also would try to like recommend that I do something else, like not, oh, well, that's, that's you got your head in the clouds, it's not possible. You can't start your own business, whatever. Yeah, sure. You need to find something more secure, more, more available, and something that's in your area, and, something that's, not doesn't take too long in school, and all these things, these little like traditionalism, like mindsets that people would try to give me. And I remember just having this conversation, and I tell them every time plainly, like, look, like, I know people, I have friends and family who make a large sum of money a year, large 6 figures, and are absolutely miserable doing what they're doing. And they work 40 plus hours a week, mostly plus, and they come in on weekends. They have people they don't like. They have bosses they don't like. They have tasks they don't like. They don't get to do as much as the things they want to do. And I've tried to explain to people, I say, look, I don't care how much you pay me a year. If I have to come in 50 plus hours a week, 50 hours a week, every week for the rest of my life, I'm going to end up hating that job. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to hate it, because that's not what I want, how I want to spend my life. I have a lot of things and ways that I would like to spend my life. This is one of them included. Helping people is one included. Traveling is another. Music is another. There's just certain things that I'd like to just do and have more time to spend on those things, and have money just not be an object, so I can live my life the way I want to. Like, that's really all this comes down to is I'd like to just live in a manner that allows me to live however I would choose, not be restricted by things like money. To even a limit. I'm not even saying there's so much benefits. There's so many benefits to passive income that monetary success can't actually measure monetary success when it comes to passive income. Because if passive income is allowing somebody to live without working, I mean, it's priceless. You can't really like put a dollar sign on that to me, like, because you're getting paid not on work that you've already done and you're done working.
And you can't replace time. You can't replace it at all.
Yeah, and it's really, and you're just giving away chunks of your life. You're just giving away chunks of your life. It's like, I try to get people to, I remember when I'd be at, my manufacturing job, and people were just so angry, man. Just so upset, so negative, so toxic, always talking crap, like always gossiping, like always just just nonstop bull, like, and I used to like engage and be in that, and like, I was always like, trying to play alpha dog and be all Mr. Man, talk trash back and forth, banter, be guys, and whatever, and it would just bring me down as well as them, and it just gets everybody mad, and people talk trash. It was just drama, and it made my life just miserable. And I remember I had to separate it from it. I literally just stopped talking when I was at work. I just for straight days, I just said absolutely no words to anybody. Like, somebody would say something to me, I'd be like, because I wanted to switch it up. I was like, I was so miserable at my job, and I was so tired of being miserable at my job, that I was like, I have control over some of this. Like, I have a control over my mood while I'm in here. I have control over my state. I can control my state when I'm in here and be in a better mood. But again, even that took decisions and making changes in your life. And it shouldn't even have to do that. I should be able to, I was so frustrated at the time, because I was already like on my journey, and so it was like, at a certain ways, it made the place way more manageable, because I had already kind of started my journey of starting a business and, following my dreams and such. And so it made it kind of easier to work there, knowing that I could see the exit, but it also made it harder at times, because it was like, man, I would love to be working on this right now. Like, I'd love to be working on writing my book right now. I'd love to be reading right now. Like, like there's just, instead I was in that place and, restricted to doing that job, because that's how I had to live. And so it's something that just can't really be measured in just monetary success, because the lifestyle benefits of passive income and financial freedom are just so valuable.
Yeah. And if you start to see why, if you start to see the why, like why it's valuable in your own life, right? You see that big old exit sign, that door. There's something that happens with a lot of people, right? And I think this is a cause of a lot of internal struggle, right? Internal suffering, anxiety, unhappy feelings, and just you look at your life, right? You look at it how it is right now, and you start to notice things. You start to notice patterns. You start to notice what you're doing, what you buy, what you're thinking on a daily basis, right? How your relationships are going. You start to notice these things, and it really picks up, right? You really see kind of, okay, this is where I live. This is who I am. This is how I live. This is what I do. This is what I think. And the more you do that, right, there's two things that could happen, right? One, you're happy with it, right? You're like, okay, I can see this. I can see the long-term effects of this. This is going to be amazing. I'm going in the right direction. I'm making progress. I'm moving forward. I'm getting happier. People are liking me more. I'm learning more things. This is amazing. My life is great. And I'm curious. And you keep going, right? Or you look at your life, right? And you see how you are now. And you see it long-term, right? You see it projected out over a couple of years, right? Even a couple of years. And it's not satisfying to you. Like you see it and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this for another 5 years before I can even get close to being retired. Like, oh my God, like the person at my job, they are so annoying. I have to talk to them every day. Oh my God, I don't have enough money. I need to make more. And how could I change? I don't have the job requirements. I don't have the qualifications. Well, should I go to school over here? Should I go talk to this person? Do I need to go put in an application here? I don't have this, right? And so you look at this over years, and you get this very heavy sense of, this is a dead end. This is not going where I want it to go. This is not going to make me happy. And maybe you don't know that consciously, right? Maybe you're not thinking that, but there's a feeling there. It's like when you talk to people, they can see it. They can see it in you. Oh, this person's not doing what they want to do. Because when you're doing what you want to do, you're happy, right? You're light, you're excited, and you're like, man, I'm going somewhere. I'm doing something, right? So maybe you don't know which one of these you are, right? Maybe you don't know where you are, but you really need to examine this, because once you choose, once you make that decision, like, okay, like, yeah, this is true, but I want to change this. Like, I don't want to be in this position forever. I don't want to be stuck here under the thumb of decisions that I've made. I want to take new opportunities and move beyond this, right? So if you see that, and you're moving in that direction, right? What would you say to someone, Dan? What would you say to someone who's like right there? And I mean right there in the sense that they've decided this makes sense, right? Because, and maybe not even from this video, maybe not even from this show, you've seen it already. You've seen, okay, I want more than this. Like, I want more than this for myself. I want more than this for my family. I want more than this for my wallet. It's thin, right? You know what you want. You just don't know how to get there necessarily, right? And maybe passive income is the way. Maybe, being financially free is the way. Maybe being able to make your own decisions is the way. But what would you say to someone as far as the internal, like how to orient, to really show them what that's going to look like practically? Maybe not what to do, but what it will look like.
Well, I mean, if we're talking from the resistance to letting yourself think this, it's difficult, because you'll come kind of to a place where it's this weird feeling where you want it, and you're like, yeah, that sounds cool, and as soon as you hit that but, that's your mind just kind of giving you this evidence of why you can't do that based on your whole life. It's legitimate evidence. You know what I mean? Like, you're pulling up real memories from your life, and everything maybe up into your life until this point has kind of shown you that that's not the way life is. And so you have a lot of evidence and a lot of people telling you, and teachings, and life lessons that you have that teach you that you have to live a certain way and be a certain type of person and make money a certain type of way and live a certain lifestyle, but you don't. And you feel that, you kind of feel that you're seeing it in other people, and you're like, some people are doing some other stuff here that seems pretty clever and a little more efficient way of making money, maybe a little less back labor for me and a little more sitting on, my laptop chair. You know what I mean? Like, they're sitting in front of the computer rather than, picking up crates and pulling stuff with dollies, or stocking shelves, or flipping burgers. You're sitting in front of a computer, blogging, pushing out your personal brand. I mean, there's these possibilities. There's this inside you that like wants to want this, but almost kind of knows. It's not even like you don't want it. It's that there's a craving for you inside you, but you kind of have this. It's a state of, you just know you can't do that. Like, and then you give yourself all these reasons, you give yourself all this justification why your life is too complicated for that, why you don't have enough time, why you don't have enough money, why you don't have enough skills, why you don't have enough knowledge. You come up with all these reasons that seem legitimate, are going to sound like just thoughts about the truth, are going to be observations about yourself that are just facts that you can't change. When I'm telling you, you can change everything about your life if you were willing. I mean, I'm not saying you should do this, but, people have done this, and there are stories of, fathers who just will have a family and just pick up and leave. And I'm not recommending anybody do that. I don't agree with that at all. What I'm saying is that what stops that person from doing that? Nothing. But a good person, a person who's committed to their family and committed to all these things, thinks, I'm in this. Or a better example, like, there's people that have, was it J.R. Tolkien, or who wrote Harry Potter?
Oh, Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, yeah. She was a single mother in a studio apartment, or one bedroom apartment with two kids, living off very, very humble living situation for her when she wrote Harry Potter. Are you thinking that J.K. Rowling, what was J.K. Rowling thinking in that moment? Was she thinking,
and she's a billionaire.
She's a billionaire. She's a billionaire, dude. well, who is it? Tony Robbins is a billionaire. I'm pretty sure at this point. Yeah, he's a billionaire. He has multiple companies that are grossing over $1 billion. He's a billionaire, and he was a janitor. He was a janitor while training with Jim Rohn. He had paid enough. He was working as a janitor, paid enough money for his piece of crap Volkswagen that he had, just so that he could drive to the places that Jim was sending him to try and get these people to come to Jim's seminars while he was training to learn how to do what turned him into a billionaire. Do you think Tony Robbins was saying, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough skills, I don't have enough money? All those things were true. All of them. All of those things were true. Jacob Rowling, Tom Ford was from a farm. He left when he was 15. You think that kid was sitting there thinking, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money? Yeah, he was thinking that. And you know what he did? He went and he made the time, made the choice to make the time, change his life, go get the skills that he needed, go get the knowledge that he needed so he could change the entire industry. And he did. Humble beginnings. Most of these people, most of these success stories, these big icons that everybody idealizes. Albert Einstein was a patent clerk when he wrote the theory of relativity. He worked there for 5 years after he wrote the theory of relativity. He changed the way the entire planet viewed reality. And he worked for a patent clerk 5 years after he did it. Before he even he wasn't even a scientist. He had a family who lived in a different country. You want success. You want something. You can have it. You just have to be actually willing to accept that the only thing standing in your way is you. The only thing standing in your way is your inability to act, your inability to make decisions, your inability to move and get rolling and trust that you can actually achieve something. Trust yourself and learn and push yourself to new levels and new heights. It's you that's standing in your way. It's only you that's preventing yourself from believing that you can have something as beautiful as passive income, as something as life enriching as passive income and financial freedom, as stress alleviating, as suffering alleviating, as not having to worry about how you're going to eat your next meal or how you're going to pay your next bill. And these are just small things, guys. This is just the cracking into being happy. We're not even talking about self-development here. These are just changes you can make in your monetary your financial situation that can improve your life drastically. And people don't think they can do it. And you just have to realize that it's you that's in your way.
Look, I was at work the other day and I was having a conversation with this guy, and I get it. I mean, I get it. Cause look, maybe you don't need to be a billionaire. Like maybe that number is like, right. But maybe what if you could just be free? Like, what if the money that you were making now, like whatever it is, the number you're making now just came on its own. Like you didn't have to go to work for that, right? You could produce from home. You could produce from another country. Like, what if you could do that? Like, what if you had a way to make that, right? And so I'm at work the other day. I'm talking to this guy. We're having a conversation. We got a great rapport, right? He's cool. I'm cool. And we're talking about food. We're talking about eating. We're talking about seafood. I just had sushi recently, which was, really tasty, really great. Well, he's talking about lobster. And we get on a conversation just about, seafood and fish and random stuff. And so he's talking and he said, oh yeah, there's a lobster place around here that it's great. It's really good. And apparently he hadn't been before. And so him and his wife, they went there, and he's kind of older. So they went, they really enjoyed it. He said they really enjoyed it. They enjoyed the service. They liked it. It was kind of a birthday deal for him. It was great. And so we get to talking, and he's telling me about kind of the experience. And he said, yeah, I was there for my birthday, and my wife is there, and I don't usually do anything for that, but it was like, he was sitting there, and the waitress, I think it was a waitress, no, it was a waiter. The waiter came over and said, hey, like, what do you want? So they're placing their orders, and he looks at the menu, and this is where the lobster comes in. He looks at the cost of the lobster, right? And I don't really know. It was like $20, $25 or $39. I mean, it's pretty high, right? It's pretty high. And so he's telling me, like, yeah, this is like, I'm not going to pay $34.99, $39.99 for lobster dinner and blah, blah, blah. Like, he just very, very, very uppity about it. He's like, this is a problem. This is an outrage. The world is ending. This is almost $50 for, and this is the level of worked up he's getting over $40, over $35, over $29 for dinner on his birthday. Like this is that level of, and this is normal to people. This is normal. This is like, yeah, that's totally unreasonable. Why is that an unreasonable? I mean, why is it that you have to go to the dollar menu for your birthday? Why do you think that's like more acceptable?
Yeah, I remember like I remember back when I was it was pretty hard, pretty hard financial times for me. I was already moving, I was already grinding, I was already moving where I needed to go, but my financial situation hadn't really improved yet. And I was single, and I was still, interested in mingling, and I had this date, and I was taking her out, and I'm a traditionalist guy in the sense where not that I'm sexist or, don't feel like women can pay for their own meals or should. I just like to pick up the bill. Like, I like feeling like, hey, like, I got this. Like, this was nice. I asked you here. Like, I asked you to come here. I'll pay. I feel like it's a traditionalist. It's an old school concept, and it's fine. I feel like an old school guy sometimes when it comes to that. But I remember going on this date and getting there and realizing like where I had picked to go was, I didn't know if it was really like a fancy $25 to $40 dish place, or it was like a, 12 to 30. And I remember I was worried, and it was this just embarrassing. And this is, it's kind of a little vulnerable to talk about this, because it's like, but it's like, it was like, I was just so embarrassed and panicked, because it's like, man, I'm having to worry about like just buying my date dinner and like how that's going to affect me financially. And it was just one of those moments where it just gave me fuel, instead of letting it affect me negatively, it just gave me more fuel. It's like, yeah, this is just why I'm working so hard right now. Like, this is why I'm sacrificing my instant gratification for my future, because these are issues I just don't want to think about. You know what I mean? And like, it turns out it was fine. Like, I wouldn't even have cared. It was such a great time. Like, I would have paid the extra money just to enjoy that night with her. And so it was like, so when you let go of that, it was just kind of like this alleviating feeling where but you're not always able to do that. If you're not as conscious and as practiced at presence as I am, then we are, then it can be difficult, and so it's when you're in that and you're feeling that can kind of affect you emotionally, like being broke and not being able to get lobster at an affordable price on your birthday, like, is like an emotional response that you can have sometimes. Like, I at least empathize with that, like, I understand. It's like, that's exactly why you want to change, though. That's exactly what we're trying to do is by teaching you this is show you that you can change that, and you can improve in your lifestyle and your career in a way that makes you more financially free, and more, and maybe passive income is the way that you choose to actually achieve that.
Man, that's great stuff. So you're in this, right? You're gonna make your own decision one way or another. Like, we're just giving information. That's what we're really doing. So what are maybe some light action steps that people could take? Because here's the deal, right? Like, this is information is just, we're drowning in it. We're drowning in information on, passive income and business and all this, right? But the reasons, right? The reasons seem to be lacking sometimes. So what are some steps? And I would throw in, start actually opening your mind to information about this stuff. Look it up on YouTube, passive income strategies, 7 tips for whatever, like how to make money, how to start a business, how to make money online. Distribution routes, how to monetize your passions, right? Because everyone's got skills that you already have.
Marketing.
Yeah, these are all options, right? And so you got to find your own path. Like, you're gonna have to, and stick around with us. We're gonna have a lot more of this that's really gonna help you kind of understand the mindset, some of the how-tos, the frameworks, the what to do, the why to do it. But realistically, right, when it gets down to the level of detail, the level of like, which specific marketing place do I need? Like, I don't know. Because I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know what your business is going to be. I don't know what your situation. How much money do you want to make? Right? If you want to make 50,000, your process is going to be way different than 500. Way different. You're going to have a different scale, different amount of people, right? So those are questions that you can answer. But the number one thing you need to look at, right? The opportunity you got to see is that you just need to make the choice to say, okay, this is possible for me. Like, and just hold that. Just say, okay, this is possible for me. Like, this could be something that I could do. This could be something that maybe I kind of put some time into, that maybe I look into. Like, do you have any words for really, kicking into that?
You know, I, I honestly, I'd give a book. I'd give a couple book recommendations because, like you said,
Yeah.
the information is pretty abundant out there, and that's why we don't honestly spend a lot of time on like specifics and details on how, because you can figure out how as easily as you found this video. And there's books that are spend the due diligence and amount of time on subjects that you should actually give and invest to learn about, because they go into very detailed steps. These books, I'd say things like Thank You Economy by Gary V. Also Crush It by Gary V. Vaynerchuk, if you don't know who that is. Millionaire Fastlane by Tony Robbins and Jay DeMarco. He does a more extended one, unscripted. So if you want to just get that one, he kind of goes into the same. You don't have to actually. They're individual entities. Is unscripted and Millionaire Fastlane, even though they're honestly essentially the same book, except he just expounds more on this the subject.
Really good one. Really good one. Science of Getting Rich.
I was just about to say. You pulled that out of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's short and it's good.
Yeah, the science of getting rich is really short, and it gives you really good perspectives, just like really quick in there, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's totally like I can chew on that, like that makes sense, Yeah, and that's.
Look, all you're doing is looking. I mean, look, all you're doing is window shopping. Like, no one says you have to pull the trigger and do this stuff today. But what if next couple weeks, right? Next couple days, like next month, you've spent some time really looking at, like when you're going to start something new, when you want to start a new skill, right? Let's say that you're going to do bungee jumping, but you've never done it before. You don't know how it works. Like, you're not going to just show up there, right? Like, if you're going to a new city, you're not going to just show up there. Some people would, but you probably wouldn't. You're probably going to look it up. You're going to say, okay, so what's the population, or like, how do I get a ticket, or what's the climate here? What do I need to pack? Right. This is all you're doing. You're just looking, right? You're just looking to see if this works for you, if this is something that you can, implement in your life, because the information's already out there, right? It's just, you got to say, okay, well, yeah, this is possible for me. So, what are some ways that maybe I could start looking into this?
Yeah, and I mean, it's really just don't allow yourself to get in your own way. Just open up to the possibility, and you'd be amazed at the opportunities that'll be presented to you just by allowing yourself to look with unbiased eyes. With some objectivity. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think that about covers it. Honestly, if you guys are checking out the stream now, stick around. We're gonna do more later. We're gonna put more stuff out. This is pretty consistent. Really, the goal here is to provide you value as far as your business life, success, like the mindset. And a lot of this stuff is, kind of reorienting your mind, but it's towards something. A lot of times you'll hear like, you need to do this, you need to think this, these are the ways that you think for, but like, we kind of want to give you tools to get you where you want to go, because your desires, right? Things that you want, they're individual to you, right? Like maybe you want to make more money than I want to make, or you want to travel somewhere I've never been, or you want to, go have a certain kind of life that I'm not really that interested in. But the methods, right? The ideas, the tips, the techniques, they're kind of similar. They're kind of the same, right? So a lot of this is us just passing information to you, passing techniques to you, so that you can kind of take these secrets and start to use them in your own life to get what you want, right? To move towards what you want. So if you like this content, right? If you like consuming it, if you like hanging out, like check out the community, do some, maybe leave a comment talking about maybe for you, like, what would you do? What would you do if you had passive income? Like, it doesn't matter what the number is, just, kind of play with it. Like, it's just a thought experiment. Just get curious about that and think for a second, what would I do? Leave a comment, right? Because this is really what it's about. It's really about cohesion, right? It's really about finding people who are moving in the same direction as you. They're wanting the same things as you, right? And a lot of times that can be hard to find, because maybe in your life right now, you feel like this, right? You're like, yeah, passive income would be great. It's a possibility for me. I do want more money, right? Well, more money. But maybe not everyone in your life is really up to date with that. They're not up to speed with that. You mentioned that. You might get kind of chewed out. So I get it. I've been in that situation, right? But you got to find an outlet for that. You got to find a place you can put that, right? So you can actually stay fueled up.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys around.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon.